everyone, my name is Holden Hardman. Thank you so much for joining us again for another episode of My Friend Watches. Today, I actually don't know what we're gonna watch. Matt's gonna decide based off of recommendations and suggestions from my patrons. Today's video is brought to you by one of my wonderful executive producer and director tiered patrons, I'm gonna get this out, I swear, who make it possible for us to keep doing this type of stuff, allowing me to get editors that can help produce more content more frequently. I asked my patrons to give a list of one-off movies that they would like for Matt to see, and they delivered. So I'm going to list off a few one-offs that were suggested by patrons, and Matt is actually going to decide. So Matt, are you ready to hear what your options are?
Yes.
The Crow, which is one of...
I've seen it, love it.
Oh, you've seen The Crow? Oh, well, he's seen The Crow. Get Out, which has been recommended 1,000 times.
Why did it be so rude?
Hilarious. Knives Out, which has also been recommended many, many times. The Iron Giant, Hamilton. There are a couple others that were suggested, but I'm going to leave it right around there. So just a handful. There's stuff like Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, Shutter Island.
Let me see the list.
Well, there's not a, it's a screenshot. Okay. Terminator, but that's a franchise. I'd rather
seen it.
do that. Okay. Soul, that was the other one. Soul just came out, Pixar. Have you seen Soul? I have not seen Soul. I actually would love to see it. I would love to watch it. That's a new one. Might be good because you want to hop in on the popular stuff right now.
Love how this is my option, but it's being heavily favored to Soul.
That's really it for now. It's those. So Soul, Knives Out, Get Out, Hamilton. It's a musical that's been recommended many times.
No.
So those are your options, Matt.
Soul.
Oh, I also brought Alita Battle Angel.
Oh, that sounds great. Soul.
You want to do Soul? Just to be clear, even though people have been recommending Get Out and
Soul,
Knives Out for years.
Right now, Soul is trending. So this is your fault that we didn't do Knives Out and all the Hamilton and all that as far as timing goes. So Soul it is.
When we were in the middle of other franchises. No, I guess that makes sense. All right, so Soul it is. We're gonna watch Soul. I have not seen it. Has anyone here seen it?
It's fantastic. It's fantastic. It's fantastic. It's really good. I mean, Pixar consistently hits it out of the park. This is one of my favorite movies of 2020, and there were like 20 of them, so that's pretty amazing. Yeah, it was almost by default. I think I saw like 10 new movies in 2020, but yeah, thumbs up to Soul. It's one of the better. They're all great. It's a Pixar movie.
I'm great with doing Soul. I would actually love a really good Pixar movie right now. My only reference for this, you're gonna find this hilarious, is you know My God in the MCU series I did? They did a video, like an hour-long video on Soul and how it's demonic and evil and littered with satanic imagery. And
We're definitely watching Soul.
I have not seen it though. So I'm actually looking forward to it. After we watch this, I might go back to that video and do another little expose thing on them. I don't know if I'm gonna do that. That's great with me. Is that okay with you all to do Soul? All right, let's get into it. Disney Pixar's Soul.
I have no idea what this is about, by the way.
I remember one time my dad took me to this jazz club, and that's the last place I wanted to be. But then I see this guy, and he's playing these chords with force on it. I was born to play. Connie knows what I mean. Right, Connie?
I'm 12. You're now our full-time band teacher.
Great, now I get $20,000 a year.
This job, you'll be able to put that dead-end gigging behind you. And Lord knows we need more teachers in this world. Music will finally be your real career.
I would die a happy man if I could perform with Dorothea Williams.
Oh, well, this could be your lucky day.
Jeez, look at that, dude. If you take out the characters, it would be hard to tell.
Get on up here, Teach. We ain't got all day.
There you go.
Go get it. Getting lost in the music.
Yes! Woohoo! I know Dorothea Williams.
Jeez. Oh, here we go. Little Light Studios all over this. Jesus. We out!
I'm not done! I gotta get back! Oh my goodness!
Oh, are these kids? Are y'all kidding me with this?
Is this heaven?
No.
Is it H-E double hockey sticks?
Hell, 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 hell.
So this is a holding pattern for death?
That's where they start. This is where they end.
There's a soul missing. The count's off.
Alrighty, mentors. Just find your name here.
Hello,
and
Jerry.
join us inside.
Got a lost mentor for you.
Thanks, Jerry.
Tobogganson will be matched with soul number 22.
22 has been at the U Seminar for quite some time and has had such notable mentors as Gandhi, Abraham Lincoln, and Mother Teresa.
I made her cry.
Ignore that.
I'm comfortable up here. I have my routine. I float in mist. I do my Sudoku puzzles. And then, like, once a week, they make me come to one of these youth seminars.
No, I will not accept this. Kid, give me that badge.
Oh, yeah, sure. Here. Unless it becomes an Earth pass, I'm stuck with it. You can't crush a soul here. That's what life on Earth is for.
Oh, jeez.
Your life is sad and pathetic, and you're working so hard to get back to it. Why? I mean, this I gotta see.
Okay, let's go. This must be where musicians come when they get into a flow.
Not just musicians. Watch this. I have been messing with this team for decades.
And the Knicks lose another one.
All right.
Some people just can't let go of their own anxieties and obsessions, leaving them lost and disconnected from life.
Thank you. What am I doing with my life?
Holy sh!
Where are your bodies?
Well, on Earth, of course.
And let me guess, you're drumming, chanting, and meditating.
Yes, something like that.
Look, there I am. It's my time.
Wait, not me!
No. I'm in the cat?
I fell into your body because it doesn't have a soul.
Then why am I in a cat?
I don't know.
It's so good! Mr. Gardner?
It's Connie. She's here for a lesson.
What do I do?
I can hear you. You know what, Mr. G? I was practicing this one thing yesterday, and maybe you can listen to it and tell me to quit after, okay?
Some of us work night shift.
I'll do it.
You couldn't call the elevator, remember? No way.
Hey, Joe, what are you doing here on a weekday? Oh, my Lord, you gotta wait, son.
And by the time I got to mentor number 266, I was seriously asking, like, what is all the fuss about? Is all this living really worth dying?
You are not all that. Anyone could play in a band if they wanted to.
He's just criticizing me to cover up the pain of his own failed dreams.
Cut deep, Joe. It is nice to finally talk to you about something other than jazz, Joe.
Huh. How come we, never talked about your life before?
You never asked. But I'm glad you did this time.
Okay, we need to get somewhere now. I should... what are you doing?
Okay.
We're gonna have to go to Mom's.
Okay.
No, you don't understand. Mom doesn't know about this gig and she's not gonna like it. Look, my mom has her own definition of what success is, and being a professional musician isn't it.
So much for being done chasing after gigs, huh?
Repeat after me. Mom, I know we've had some rough times, but you're right. I can't be truthful with you because it seems like no matter what I do, you disapprove.
You can't eat dreams for breakfast, Joey.
Then I don't want to eat. This isn't about my career, Mom. I'm just afraid that if I died today, that my life would have amounted to nothing.
Joey, let's make this work instead.
That's my dad's suit. There it is. We made it.
Just look at what I found. Your mom sewed your suit from this cute spool. Truth is, I've always worried that maybe there's something wrong with me. Maybe I'm not good enough for a living. You showed me about purpose and passion, and maybe skywatching can be my spark.
Those really aren't purposes, 22. That's just regular old living. Now, come on. I need my body back. Now.
No.
It's your time to go, Joe Gardner.
22 got her pass? Rappers act like, who let this lunatic in here?
Listen, You gotta give me another chance. My only purpose on this planet is to play. It's what I was meant to do, and nothing's gonna stop me.
Welcome to the quartet, Teach.
So, what happens next?
We come back tomorrow night and do it all again.
Nice.
I need to find 22.
I'm afraid she's become a lost soul.
I just came back to give you this. You are ready to live, 22?
There's no point. You'll never find your spark.
I never got my spark.
Yes, you did. Your spark isn't your purpose. That last box fills in when you're ready to come live.
Mr. Gardner, so we all decided to give you another chance.
So, what do you think you'll do? How are you going to spend your life?
I'm gonna live every minute of it.
I just finished watching Soul. I'm actually not used to watching movies for this series anymore that does not have continuation and just talking about it as its own thing. I've almost forgotten how to process it like that, but there were so many layers to this movie and I'm still processing it. I'd like to get some of y'all's thoughts on it first. Jeremy, this is your second time watching, I think, right? You've had some more time to process it than the rest of us, so I'd love to start with you and what you think about it.
Honestly, I'm a little concerned about leading the witness. I know everybody's gonna view this movie slightly from different perspectives. I don't know that there's a clear-cut, one single answer at the end of it, but a couple of things that I want to touch on, and that is that the animation is absolutely gorgeous in this film. Holden and I, just in a little second worth of time, we discussed it. It's really cool because if you look at the proportions of the character animations, it borrows very heavily from things going all the way back to like comic strips from back in the day, but obviously the technology has come so far that the textures and the lighting and all of those things are just like, it's this really interesting mix of like what's very clearly animation and then photorealism. I think that's awesome. Jazz music. I got an interesting relationship with jazz. Jazz is such a eclectic kind of style of music that on one end you've got the stuff that we hear in soul, which is just like so deeply appealing and universal, and I think anybody will like that stuff. On the other end, there's that crazy theory stuff that just does not connect with me, but all of the jazz music in this is exceptional. And then kind of polarly opposite but similar with the arpeggios and like a lot of the theory behind music is this very synth-driven score that really permeates the between realms. I forgot what it's called, but it's where all the different personalities and souls are at. I like that dichotomy. I like the kind of comparing and contrasting this really organic style of music with this really synth-driven music. As far as what I take away from the film is that this idea that there's this very rigid purpose in life, that there's a meaning of life, is almost kind of inconsequential when the actual point is just living, when he's like, oh no, what you're talking about is not a purpose, that's just plain old living. It's like, but isn't that what it's all about? That spark is the thing that makes you feel alive and be in the moment and embrace those small things, just the most mundane things that we kind of tend to take for granted, but then just stopping and seeing the beauty in a leaf falling and landing in your hands, it's really good. I think there's a lot of kind of existential themes that it explores, a lot of really emotional themes that it explores, and Pixar's really good about that is it's like the kids are gonna watch it, they're gonna love it, it's colorful, it's buoyant, it's funny and all of that, and then there's a lot more kind of intellectual and emotional meat to chew on. As Holden said, this is the second time I've seen it, enjoying it with everybody else, and this being your first time seeing it, that was great for me, so I'm actually really excited to hear kind of what everybody else thinks about it. On a scale of 1 to 10, I'm giving this movie a 9 out of 10.
This is one of those interesting movies that split the spark and purpose, because I guess I'm kind of like everyone else where I'm like, you know, you have to find your purpose. What is that? Is it making movies? Is it making music? Is it being a teacher or a doctor or whatever it is? So this movie split that, and it's like, well, that's not your purpose, that's your spark. Your purpose is just to live. I don't know, I'm still chewing on that, how I feel about that philosophy. I don't know, I want to hear more thoughts on it before. I'm not fully concrete on that. I don't know how I feel about that. Prime, what did you think?
Very deep movie. Trying to think about how to work into this. It's talking about soul, right? And I think a lot of, I don't want to say biblical people, but what it was, a lot of people, religious, thank you, people with faith and stuff like that. I don't even want to get into that, and I just want to look at it as, like what Jeremy was talking about, a movie about more explaining on the meaning of life, right? That's kind of the big question that's always talked about. What is the meaning of life? And everyone's trying to figure out the meaning of life. And this movie kind of goes in my opinion, talking about that meaning of life. What I got from this is it's to live it, to live your life. And what got to a really eye-opening part for me in the film is watching it. You know, you've got the hedge fund manager. He's one of those lost souls that's just crushed, stressed in his job, and that's just overwhelmed him. Who knows what his actual life is like at home or whatever, because he's so centered around this job. And I think that resonates with me, with my job, and a lot of people can understand that point of view. You get so overworked, that's not the meaning of life, and you lose that path, and you just become this mindless creature wandering the plains. And the point is to take appreciation from all the little stuff that you've learned and experienced. And yeah, so very deep. There's a lot to chew. That's just one little part, and there's so much in this.
I know what you mean. I feel like a lot of people work during their work days, their 9 to 5s, to live on the weekends or like Friday night, you know. Thinking of it in that way, I see, yeah. I don't know, I feel like a lot of my purpose is, I guess my spark is I love making videos. It's what makes me happy. I don't know, they didn't really touch on what happiness, I guess, so much in it, but that's what makes me happy. Whereas I guess I can see that that's not my purpose. My purpose is taking care of my family and being a good friend. And I love exploring, and I love going on adventures and stuff. And yeah, okay. I'm feeling it. Pastor, what about you, man?
So, right off the bat, I didn't realize that this movie was about the age-old question of what happens when you die. That's up for interpretation. That's how the whole thing of him falling in the manhole, the unique way of them showing that and kind of like not focusing on it, but that's part of it. I, for one, obviously don't know, like the rest of us that are still alive, what happens after here. Pixar and Disney and just these kind of companies that make all these movies in general always find unique ways of showing that and having that tie to what, you know, we think is going to happen, or explaining deja vu or stuff like that. They find little unique ways of doing it. Like Prime was talking about the guy that had the mundane job, all of a sudden like plucking his spark out or giving his spark back is what allowed him to go, you know what, I'm not a branch manager, that's just what I do, kind of a deal. The living for the moment, making everything count is such a simple message, and they did it in a very different way, which is what I appreciated from the movie. I, for one, you know, nobody wants to die, nobody wants to go anywhere, you know, except for here, because this is what we know. But this movie kind of said, we're not going to focus on that. We're going to focus on the fact that we're here now. And, you know, just because you didn't do anything this weekend doesn't mean that you wasted the time, unless, you know, you choose to see it that way. So that's what I took from it. I'm like Holden said, I'm still processing it. I know my wife had seen it already. I haven't. This was the first time. So I'm going to watch it again and see if I feel differently, because it's one of those movies I think is either going to translate differently or I'm going to have more to say. So
I really don't feel like this is a movie that's trying to answer what happens after you die. I feel like it's much more about living. Really, they just use the death as a device to point towards that. Jen, what did you think?
Hanging off of what everybody else was saying about the film being, you know, emotionally based, it definitely was. It had a lot of different layers to it, a lot of different life lessons in the movie. The character of 22 was my favorite. I may have perceived her a little bit differently from everybody else. I felt like they were really zeroing in on anyone that may feel different from anybody else. An example that came to mind was anybody with anxiety, depression, Asperger's, anything like that. Those were what came to mind, and the fact that she couldn't find her place. I really liked how they kind of wrapped that up at the end. As far as Joe's character, I liked that in my eyes, he thought that teaching was not sufficient enough to leave a valid legacy. And in the end, he did get his dream of, playing jazz for everyone, but he realized that it didn't mean that him being a teacher meant nothing. It was very meaningful, and it had an impact, obviously, on 22. So I really, really like how they did that. Obviously, visually, the movie was really, really good. I did not know that he was going to die in the movie. That was a big surprise, and when he kind of fell through, I was very surprised by that. But I very much liked how this film went. It's one of those films that I feel like makes you think about your life and your goals and what you want to accomplish. So I really, really enjoyed it a lot.
I think one way I can think about it is, like Matt, whenever I reach 10,000 subscribers, you're like, dude, does it feel any different? Now that you reach 100,000 subscribers, you feel any different? I think the same thing we see constantly with people that become exuberantly wealthy, and they're like, to be honest, it doesn't make me happy, but when you're not at that level, it's hard to picture that, because if I only had $1 million, if I only had 100,000 subscribers, if I had 1 million subscribers, then I'd reach it. But he reached his goal in this movie. He got to play with her, and then she says, oh, come back and we do it tomorrow. And he's like,
thought it would feel different.
Yeah, now what? So it's just this constant, after you reach your goal, what is there? I think that happiness is outside of that. So maybe that spark of him playing is not the end goal. Maybe 100,000 subscribers is not the end goal. That's why I invest so much of my life outside of YouTube, because that's what makes me happy. It's what lets me live. Anyways, Jenna, what did you think about the movie?
I completely agree with Holden's point. I think that's why he was so let down when he played that night at the jazz club, because he viewed his happiness as a destination rather than just living his life and being happy.
That verbalized perfectly.
They did such a great job of, I really was very emotionally invested and felt the things that they felt. They did a fantastic job. I really feel like 22 lived her pre-life in fear, and that's what prevented her from living, and just the simple things that she was able to experience in Joe's body made her want to live. It wasn't playing in the jazz club or doing something great. It was, the maple tree thing and the donut and the pizza, it's just everyday things she was just so excited to experience. I think it's just a reminder of, you forget that living everyday things are fantastic. I think they did a really good job being very neutral as far as their depiction of pre-life and afterlife. They separated themselves, I think, as well as they could to not be so controversial religiously and just really focused on the living part. So I thought that was good.
Yeah, a lot of interesting thoughts here. I feel like this is much more mellow than what we're used to, as far as our post-discussion. Matt, ending it, what did you think?
This is total crap. Not up my alley at
Stop
all.
it.
I did
Stop
not
it.
like it. I cried 4 times. This hit me so deep for so many reasons. How is this made for children? Pixar is absolutely incredible at creating this crossover for no matter the age. It's unbelievable to me. I just, holy crap. I have so many notes that I'm not gonna run through every single one of them, and I think I'm gonna designate my own video to this, maybe rewatching it, doing I have to do something with this. This hit me so hard. I echo a lot of what y'all said. Gorgeous, just absolutely incredible. But is personality, are you born with that or do you develop that? I feel like that was sort of a question.
Well, that's been argued in white psychologists for forever. I don't know. I don't want to give my opinion on it. I'm gonna be corrected by somebody.
Nature versus nurture.
I'll get it.
There's a lot of that. Yeah.
I'll get it. I feel like what I've done in my life and what I've seen, I feel like I've developed my personality. I feel like a lot of who I am is decisions. Not every single facet, but I mean, sure, it's dictated by my childhood and all sorts of stuff, but I choose to be who I am in a certain fashion, if that makes sense. I don't have all the answers. I feel like you could watch this 15 times and still miss things. It's just incredible. Extremely thought-provoking. I do love that Pixar gives this option for people to explore this in their brain. I feel like there's possibly religions, possibly certain lifestyles that would say this is a bad thing to consume, this is bad to look at, but I feel like this is where you can make concrete decisions, or at least know what's correct for you by exploring this type of thing. Like, it felt like they were really touching on reincarnation, and I know that that can be controversial depending on what you believe, but I think going in that really says, no, I don't believe in that, or yes, I do believe in that, or oh, I've never thought of that as a possibility. And I'm the type of person that I'm open to hearing it, and that's why I love that it's an option, not, no, don't say it, don't say it. The girl playing the trombone on the stairs was like, I think that was one of the first moments where I was like, oh God, are you serious? Like leaning in whenever 22 was like, oh wow, you really love it. Like, you better stick with it. And, 22 was the person that was very negative and, wasn't going out there. So for her to see it and be like, gosh, she loves this, she needs to do it, that struck me. So Prime said, this is kind of like micro, but Prime said the dude that got caught in the alley, that they thought it was the main character.
Yeah.
And then, they turned him around and he was dead. He was dead. Prime said it. He was like, that was a really funny moment. But then you see the little pointy nose character. Jerry, was it Jerry? Yeah. So Terry puts the soul back into the guy, but he put the soul in upside down, and Prime said, oh, he put the soul in upside down. And I was like, wait, does that mean he's turning his life upside down or giving him that different perspective? I don't know. I could be digging him way too deep, but good catch. It struck me so hard whenever the family member, which happens to be the mom, throwing shade on his career choice, he has to defend his own happiness. That is so relatable for so many people. It's not stable. It's not, you're gonna struggle. Usually comes from a place from that family member, loved one, not wanting that person to struggle. I love you, but at the same time, you're taking away the very happiness. And when he said, she was like, you're not gonna be able to eat. He said, then I don't want to eat. That just, it just hit so hard. When he said, I'm just afraid if I die today, my life would mean nothing. He said something to that effect, and I immediately started crying. I know that there are people out there that are experiencing that can't get out of that, and it hits me so hard. It's so good. I feel like people that have truly gone after what they want, they go towards the thing that 22 was unwilling to do for so long. The people that say, I am really good at what I do, that are really going after their passion. The people that you see that are, they're making it happen. I feel like those people are very enlightened. I feel like they're enlightened, and I think that this highlights on it. It shows that. God, this is just so good for so many reasons. I have many more reasons, but for the sake of editing, this is incredible in so many ways.
I really liked the way Jenna verbalized that happiness is not a destination, it's kind of a state of being, or just a marathon. I don't know. Journey. Yeah.
It's not
I butchered the end there, but I like the first part.
It's not a destination; it's a journey. Would you? Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that's great.
Real quick, and you might be able to edit part of this, I just want to throw a bone to maybe the people that don't have that one specific thing that drives every decision that they make, whether it's making videos or being a musician. The thing is, like, you don't have to have a very, very strong direction to dictate where you're going, because there's, as Jenna, eloquently put, it's more about the journey than it is the destination. You don't have to have one specific thing that drives every decision that you make to live a fulfilling life. Maybe you look and you're like, I'm not a painter, I'm not an athlete, and I think that this movie gives you the ability to still be okay with that. And I think that that's an important message to walk away with as well, because yes, many of us do have things that compel us to act, but everybody doesn't. And you could be 40 years old and still not have that thing that's like, oh, I live for this, and still you can live. You know what I mean? So I just, if you're watching this and you might think, hey, I don't have that one thing, that purpose, I think a lot of the purpose of the movie Soul is to say it's not about that one thing. It's about every moment in between the moment that you're born to the moment that you die, and just appreciating those little things. So I did want to touch on that real quick.
And I agree with what you're saying. I totally agree. And I don't believe that everybody has to be like an artist, a musician, whatever. Like, I have a friend who truly believes that his purpose in life is to make that person laugh, to when he gets in the elevator, he breaks that awkward silence. He loves that moment so much. I really believe that is his purpose, and he loves that. Having said that, I actually think I've formulated my own version of what I feel like the meaning of life is, which, good God, I know we're getting deep here. I feel like the meaning of life, why we're here, is to find our spark, or the purpose, which leaves that impact. What we love to do creates our happiness, which creates that impact. I feel like if you're not benefiting others, it's eventually going to run out. It's not going to be as fruitful as it really could be. That's how I feel. That's for myself. I'm not saying it is for you. But like, when we look at fantastic people that make videos or musicians or whatever, we feel and love and like gain good because they're simply doing what they friggin' love. Okay, that's it.
Yeah, I mean, I still don't know how to react when people are like, your videos got me through depression.
Yeah, exactly.
We're just watching movies together as friends, you know, so that's always really humbling.
Piggybacking off of what Jeremy said with the whole, and what Matt said about, like, in the movie, his mom had the problem and had that caution of like, listen, I saw your dad go through this. It just hit me in a way like when you're turning on a stove, right? And you hear the clicking in the pilot, right? The clicking.
Right.
But nothing's happening.
Right.
So most of us either get a match, you're not really supposed to do that, but we do. You get a match or a lighter or something to kind of help, you know, the Bunsen burner or whatever to light up, right? Your parent is supposed to be that tool. When you're trying to click and you're trying to find where you're trying to go, and it's not working, it's okay for your parent to go in there and help you light the start to get the full-on fire of your life or your purpose or whatever it is. So if any parents are watching and your kids come up to you and say, because I had this happen to me, I told my dad I wanted to be a writer, I told my dad I wanted to be a filmmaker and all that, and he said, listen, it's all well and fine and you may have a talent in it, but you're not gonna make a living. It defeated it for me. I stopped writing for years, I stopped doing film, I stopped everything that I loved, and never had a single thing to write when I had to do a term paper on what do I love about life, what is my passion, because I lost it. I said it's crap, I'm not doing it anymore. That can kill something before it starts, is the whole point with that.
Trying to use the stove and they tell you to use the microwave. There you go.
It doesn't taste the same, does it?
Whenever I was going through college, I remember wanting to go to film school really badly, and that's the exact same thing. Like, I'm not going to make a living off of this. So I literally did not go to film school for that reason, and it's one of the regrets I wish I had. So yeah, there's a life lesson for you there. The Apostle Paul, because we have to make this religious now, he said, I've been a rich man, I've been a poor man, and I've learned to be content in all things. And I agree with that. I've also been a poor and depressed, lonely person, and I've also had times where ends were met. I feel loved and surrounded by friends. And I agree with that. I've just learned to just be thankful for where I'm at with what I have currently, kind of feeling that everything is temporary, you know, so even if all this is taken away, I still want to be happy, you know, regardless. And so that's kind of an attitude or a emotional, spiritual shift that I personally have had. And I'm talking big talk until I lose it all, of course. But that's a philosophy I try to live by, at least anyway. Hey, last minute things, anybody? No?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Jeremy gave his 9. Prime. Let's do Prime first. Or second.
I'm gonna woman up you. All this talk, 9.5. It's like you said too. Every time we watch this, it's just gonna drive more debates.
1 to 10, I'd give it like a 9.95.
Jesus.
Yeah. It opened up a lot of what, I mean, I'm only 32 years old, but I've gone through a lot of ups and downs in life that, you know, were meaningful, and the movie kind of showed that, you know, like we talked about in the beginning. I thought this movie was going to be about the afterlife, because going into it, I knew that there were controversies about, you know, religion and everything. So I'm like, okay, so it must be an afterlife thing. And then it totally did a 180, and instead of talking about what happens when you die, it's about what should be happening while you're living. So 9.95.
Because this movie had so much meaningful material, I like that every single person is going to interpret it differently according to their life path, their goals, you know, and so on. It was very enjoyable, and I feel like as time goes on, my brain kind of taking through all the material, I'll actually appreciate it more. Right now, I would say a 9.
9.9.
I'm still processing it too. Like we stop watching and we go right into our reviews, because I totally forgot to talk about the scene with his mom and how she was reacting to him pursuing his dream. So I'm still processing it too. This is a very deep movie, many layers I'm gonna be thinking about for a while. For me, as of now, I'm actually at the same score as Jen with a 9.0.
I will say that I think it was so grand, so deep, that it was difficult to process 100% of it and have a full grasp on the entire story. The very end, I was kind of expecting him to go back to being a teacher or something like that, so I feel like the ending was a little bit cut off. That could just be me. Overall, what this movie does, I feel like this really does shift perspectives, and I think that this is something that could literally change someone's life. I'd give this a solid 10. If I could give it a higher rating, I would.
I agree with the ending, because I thought that when he was in the zone, he wasn't like dead. I thought he could kind of come, if he got out of the zone, he'd come back to his body, but they...
I said you cheated, and that was like, you know...
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
I gotcha. Well, this was a very deep, philosophical, spiritual movie. New merch down below, guys. Make sure you check it out. We got some Itch a Fish shirts. We got your regular Holden shirts. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, leave it a like. Helps my channel out a lot. Comment down below, letting us know what you thought of Soul and what you thought about all of our opinions. Consider subscribing if you want to see more fun content like this. Consider joining me on Patreon to get early access to select videos like this one. And I started membership, so you should join down below. Once a month, we'll do a live stream, just us, and you get some cool badges and emojis.
Just us?
Just us.
Just us.
Next week, I believe, will be another couple episodes of WandaVision, and the week after that, I don't know if we'll conclude WandaVision or have another one-off like this. But either way, stick around, hope you see it. Make sure to subscribe to everybody channel that's here, and I will catch you in the next video. Take care.
Yeah, what about the cat? Lost its soul?
Yeah.
Well, 22 got the bag.